What is up, guys, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. It's Thursday night. It's 9 o'clock. The kids are asleep. The wives are asleep. It's time to kick back, relax, pour yourself a nice cold one, crack yourself a stiff one, hell, roll yourself a green one if that's the way that you're inclined. But, guys, sit back and relax because we are going to have an amazing show for you tonight. I am your host, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin, and we are brought to you by the MWA Podcast Network every single episode, guys. You need to check out some of our amazing sponsors. We got to pay some respect. We pay some respect to the guys that help us keep the lights on up in this bitch. First up is the Wrestling Universe, guys. The Wrestling Universe is your one-stop shop for all your pro wrestling merchandise. They have all kinds of WWE, TNA, UFC, WCW, ECW, action figures, past and present, and also the current AEW ones. They carry t-shirts, wrestling cards, autographed 8x10s, masks, belts, and much, much, much more, guys. They also have in-store signings, guys. So if you're in the Queens, New York area, they have in-store signings with some of the biggest names in the wrestling world. So if you're in the New York area, go and check them out, guys. All of their autographed items come with a certificate of authenticity. And if you're like me and you don't live in Queens, New York, they ship internationally. So check them out, guys. TheWrestlingUniverse.com. They got you covered. Guys, next up is Sleeves.com. Now, if you or someone you know is an athlete, then you need to check out Sleeves.com. They've got armbands, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks, wristbands, headbands, mouth guards, boots, whatever you need. Guys, they've even got dirty boxes. Now, let me tell you something about these dirty boxes, guys. They sent me a bunch of them, and they are the most comfortable boxes that I own, seriously. And they've got a big elephant trunk on the front of it, so that's pretty funny too, right? So, guys, check out Sleeves.com. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Next up, guys, once you head over to Sleeves, you need to go and check out healthvape.com. Now, guys, if you're like me, I'm an ex-smoker. Now I'm a vape person thingy. And, you know, I've got my health vape stuff on order. It's coming to me soon. Health vape offer no nicotine, no harmful or addictive chemicals in their vape pod products, and they're vitamin infused. So, guys, head over and check out some of their vape and pod products. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase, baby. But guys, MWA Podcast Network, we got you covered all week long with that pro wrestling content. You can check out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Sydney time. It's going to be Get Funked with Alan Kwee Funk, the former WCW star. He brings his show every single week to you guys at 9 a.m. on Friday mornings here in Sydney. And it's 7 p.m. over in USA Eastern time. So make sure you check that show out. Tomorrow he's going to be having on Lash LaRue, former WCW Cruiserweight champion. Alan's been bringing on a lot of amazing guys, friends of his that he's known since back in the day when he was training at the WCW power plant. It is a must-watch show, guys. You have to check it out. Or if you can't check it out live or on YouTube, you can also check it out on all podcast platforms. Just search MWA Podcast Network. But, guys, also on Saturday morning at 10 a.m., which is going to be Friday at 8 p.m. USA Eastern, is Killing the Business with former ECW original, The Kingpin, Angel Medina. Every single week, he, King Mega, and Glenn Sexton are breaking down all the wrestling news that's going on. And basically, Angel, you can't really restrain what he's going to say. You don't know what he's going to say, so it makes for a real fun, entertaining show, guys. So make sure you check it out. And also check out Knights of the Gimmick Table with the Dead Presidents, baby, Boogaloo and Lowrider. These guys, seriously, man, one of my favorite shows to check out, guys. They're bringing on a lot of their buddies that they've gone up and down the roads with for the last 20 years. These guys were trained by the WWE Hall of Famer, Johnny Rodz. And guys, they've been huge names on the independent circuit, especially around, the Northeast independents for the last 20 years, guys. So there's a lot of amazing stories, really funny. And it's always, you don't know what you're going to get out of that show. So it's always a must watch and a show everyone will enjoy. So guys, check it out. But tonight, guys, my guest is a gentleman who has been wrestling for over 10 years all across Australia, from South Australia to Perth to, now in Melbourne. He's actually now just started to become a bit of a death match connoisseur, if you will, doing a couple of death matches and being involved. But let me bring out my guest. He is York. York, thanks for coming on, man. It's good to see you.
No problem, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's looking at your history, man. You're one of those guys that it really seems like you've been like a bit of a journeyman around the country, whereas like a lot of guys are sort of like mainly based in like their main states, but you've sort of gone and traveled all over the country.
It's it's funny. It's one of those things that it was never the plan. It was never the plan to sort of travel from Adelaide to Perth to Melbourne. It just kind of happened because one, my life sort of just altered and changed with where I was living or who I was around at the time, but also I can never really find my sort of home in wrestling. I always felt
Yeah.
a bit like, I don't know, like I just didn't fit in to the groups or the wrestling that I was around at the time. So I always was searching for that sort of that feeling of fitting in.
Mm.
So yeah, just
What
ended up sort of jumping around.
What do you think that was? Was it just like, different cultures back then, like in locker rooms and in
I,
training schools?
yeah, I think a lot of it's my own issues. I think um, so back in the like when I first started, I was pretty young. Not as young as some of the talent had started, but like I was 18, 19. So
Yeah.
um, I was still sort of finding myself. Didn't really understand who I was and what my value was. Also, like I'm a little bit socially awkward and just I don't know, got some like I missed some social cues. So like I was always just finding myself in situations that just didn't. It's not where I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, that found myself in a bit of a few hot situations.
What, like where people shot on you in the ring sort of thing, or?
No, nobody ever took liberties with me in the ring. Nobody ever hurt me in the ring. But like I would annoy people uh, outside the ring, and I'd find myself in situations that like um, I'd done something wrong, or like I didn't fit the mold of what promoters or wrestlers around the time wanted me to fit into. So I
Yeah.
um I kind of spoke my mind a little too much back then too. I spoke too
Yeah.
much. Um, so yeah, it was. I just it just didn't fit. I just didn't fit into a lot of
But
situations.
but it just sounds like mainly a maturity thing though, right? Like, because at 18, 19, like most guys are like, I mean, think they know everything, right?
And I think that's what a lot of people forget. And like especially being the 18, 19-year old or even all the way up to like mid 20s, right? You don't know that you're not mature. Like you don't realize that you're
Mm.
not you're not doing the right thing and the people around you, I guess in the wrestling culture, it's I don't know, some people just don't see that or don't think it's their responsibility to sort of help you along that way. So yeah, there are times that it probably could have been avoided by a bit of a like, hey, like this is what's going on. Like you need some, to be spoken to. And it probably on my other side could have been like me going, just relax. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like you're 18, you're 19, who cares? Like just let it go. Um, but yeah,
Do you find yourself like in that situation now with some of the younger guys that, like, obviously you've been around for a while now, and seeing some of the younger guys come up? Do you see guys making similar mistakes and being able to pull them aside?
yeah.
And yeah.
I see it all the time. I don't particularly pull them aside myself, but I see a lot of other people in positions of power doing the right thing.
Mm.
Um, I see a lot of young, hungry, talented wrestlers who maybe because they are so talented and they are so hungry, maybe get a bit of an ego or get a bit of a um, sort of think they're maybe better than they really are, or it's not even like just that, but just getting ahead of themselves, I would say.
Mm.
And you see, people of power go, "Hey, chill out, it's all good." Um, and I've not come across the issues that I had with any of these other people. So like,
Yeah.
I'm never annoyed by these guys. They're all lovely, and I think that all started in the transition to Perth for me. That's kind of where I really cut my teeth, and that's really where I think I was mature enough to go, oh, this is what's going on. This is how you act. This is what you do.
Yeah. Was
So
that when NHPW?
no, so I did start there. I didn't quite fit in there. People were lovely, just didn't sit right with me the way it was handled and run.
Mhm.
It didn't really benefit myself particularly. So I looked elsewhere and reached out to an old friend and was like, "Hey, do you mind if I come down and do a training or whatever?" And they were
Yeah.
really open to it. And that's when I went to Schwa. And that's where it all
And
kind of really started for me.
well, it started to sort of like you sort of started to understand the social aspect of pro wrestling, was it, or is it just
Um,
more of like putting things together more like with training?
I think it was all of it. It all just kind of clicked. And it didn't just like click immediately from going to Schwa. There was still some like growing pains and some learning difficulties and social things. But I think the group there were a lot more accepting and willing to work in those parameters that I have.
Yeah.
And they were a lot more open to communicating with me openly and respectfully. And instead of just going, we don't like that guy.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped me grow and go, oh, this is what I'm doing, or this is, um, this is how I can improve my wrestling. This is how I can improve myself outside of wrestling, because wrestling's more than just the in-ring stuff. Like you're around these people, especially at that time when I was training with them 4 days a week. So you're around these people like 4 days a week and then a show on top of that where like shows are stressful, man. Like
Yeah.
setting up a
100%.
ring and like lighting and booking and any of that stuff, and any promoter or anyone that's helped out that side of the business knows that stuff's really tough
Yeah.
and stressful. So learning that aspect, because that's when I was sort of thrown into that side of the business as well, where I was like starting to be, I was a trainer, and I was starting to help with like ideas, pitching ideas, and I was setting up the ring, like I was the head of the ring crew and stuff like that, where I started getting roles that had responsibility, and trying to people manage, and that's kind of where I learned all those things, because I hadn't learned that in Adelaide really at all.
Mm.
I kind of, yeah, I wasn't very mature in Adelaide, and there were other situations and other reasons as well why it didn't go so well there.
Yeah, but I think as well, like it's easy for people to, as you said, just point and say, "I don't like that guy," and sort of shut it, as opposed to sort of like going, "Okay, you know what? This is a guy who, has some ability, to do this. Let's just give him a little bit of guidance and nurturing a little bit, and sort of get him to the right direction." And I mean, like different training methods work for different people as well.
100%, and that's kind of where I like I said, I learned that in Perth, where I couldn't train everyone the same way.
Mm,
Some people picked it up some way, some people picked it up a different way. And I think a big thing to speak about openly is mental health. And and everybody right now would be struggling with it due to COVID. Um, but that was something I was struggling with back in Adelaide,
mm,
and it it felt taboo to
yeah,
talk about it, or to like to bring up that I've got these issues. Um, and it wasn't a very accommodating time or area to be in, with said issues.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know why, but maybe due to my life experience and just things changing for me when I went to Perth, that along with the people being a little more accepting, yeah, definitely helped for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, man. Mental health, I think now is a lot more socially acceptable for people to be reaching out for help. And I grew up in the 80s and 90s where it's like, oh, you feel sad, like suck it up, sweetheart, you'll be right. That sort of
Yep.
mentality where it's like you look at it now, it's like that sort of behavior, if you said that to someone, would be like, what the you know what I mean? Like that person would be shunned for like, going at someone like that, where I think society's definitely evolved to be a much more accepting and nurturing place.
And you'll find that in wrestling, that a lot of people have it. And I'm not sure if it's because of the type of thing that we do, or like if that's what drives us to that line of business,
Yeah.
or what. But you'll find that you're not everyone, of course, but you'll find a lot of people are struggling with something, and that's why it's super, super delightful. Like I moved from Perth to Melbourne not because I didn't fit in for once, and not because I was looking for something different, but my family wanted to move back home. Like Melbourne's their home, basically,
Yeah.
and they wanted to move back home closer to other members of family. So I decided to make that move with them, and I'm so fortunate to have found Deathmatch, because that's such an all-inclusive, loving community of people who are there because they love wrestling. They
Mm.
want to put on the best show possible. They adore the fans. The fans adore us, and like everybody is just so accepting and polite.
Yeah.
And there's like I've not had a single issue there. It's been fantastic.
And and that's the thing. Like I've interviewed quite a few of the guys and all the performers, I should say, from Deathmatch Down Under and the management team and everyone like that. And everyone I've spoken to is a class act, like completely. And when I sort of started to see them sort of coming into fruition, I was like, because I'm a Deathmatch fan, right? Like
Yeah.
so for me, I was like Deathmatch in Australia. Like I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like the mark in me was like, whoa, let's go. And like I wanted to know more about what was going on. When I found out I was in Melbourne, I was like, oh, damn it. Like, what I mean? But now I've got a reason to
Yeah.
go to Melbourne. But like all the communication I've had with everyone from DMDU has just been, spectacular.
It's insane. So obviously, it's run by a few different people, but um, one of those people being a good friend of mine, Joel, who I've known basically since the start of my wrestling career. Um, I met such a long time ago. It's actually crazy, and we never really like got to just chill out or hung out, or anything like that throughout, because obviously Melbourne based himself. But for it to all come sort of full circle, and now knowing him as a wrestler who extremely talented and probably you know should have made it further than he unfortunately did due to injury, um, now being one of the spearheads of probably in my opinion the best thing going in Australia at the moment, and being so all inclusive and um, loving and accepting. It's it's wonderful. It's what wrestling should be. It's what the community
Yeah.
around wrestling should be, and I'm glad it's here,
Mhm.
and something I can be part of. So
I think that the values as well that they've instilled and the values that they had from the get go haven't differed from that. And it's quite simple. Show up, enjoy wrestling, cheer for who you like, boo for who you don't. Just don't be a dick to people. And you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it shouldn't be that. You know what I mean? Like reality, that should just be like everything, right? Like just don't be a dick. Just show up, be cool, enjoy what's going on around you, and be cool to people.
right. You don't have to like everyone. That's not what's being said. It's just you know
No,
if you don't, just be polite and keep to yourself. It's all good. Like we can all coexist in a place, whether you know you like someone or not. And it's not like I haven't found anybody that feels that they don't like someone, but I'm sure if they did, it's kept to themselves and they're polite, and everything's
well,
harmonious. So
at the end of the day, we're adults. We don't have to.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah, if we don't like someone, we don't have to be a prick. Like, that's the biggest point of it, right?
and think that's been the problem in wrestling in the past, at least where I've been, is you don't like someone, you try to tear them down by either ruining their bookings or talking in the
Mm,
promoter's ear and talking shit, or like the amount of times that I've lost title opportunities. I've been pulled off cards because of rumors. Like, and it's just because someone doesn't like me because I used to speak too much shit. Like I used to talk as a young kid too much.
yeah.
Um,
That's
And
ridiculous, though. Like it's such a bully mentality. It's like, don't book this guy because I don't like him. You know what I mean? Like it's if you're a good performer and you can draw for a promoter, that should be the only be all and end all meaning to it.
oh man,
Yeah, obviously, unless you're not a complete like scumbag. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but if you
there
can
are
draw,
times like there are
yeah,
people that you don't want to interact with because of things that they might have done, but for the most part, like none of that was why I was being pulled. It was because I didn't get along with someone, or I you know had a difference of opinion, or I clashed heads with someone, and um, you know that's how wrestling was. That's what the normal was to me.
yeah.
Um, and I think for a lot of people, that's what the normal was.
But do you think that like that's changed in wrestling now, like in the Australian scene?
I would like to think so. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like, and here's the problem: most places I left, especially in Adelaide, I pretty much burnt the bridges. I was like, I'm done with this place. Like, whatever. Like, just don't want to see you again. And that's how bad it used to hurt me. And that's me being emotional
mhm.
and not being mature, right? That's just me being
Yeah,
stupid. Um, so there are promotions in Adelaide that like I wrestle for that I don't talk to anymore. Who they might be different now. I don't know. But I feel like in Perth, EPW and Schwa, they were never too. There was never that feeling of we're going to pull your booking because someone doesn't like you. They're all lovely people.
yeah.
Um, I did in Perth actually. I did lose a title because of backstage stuff. We can get into that if you want. But
So you had to drop a title
no, so
because
I was going to win a belt.
all right,
Um, so in Perth, the promoter at the time who ran Schwa also ran a company called WPW. Um, and so I was there. I was the WPW heavyweight champion,
yeah,
and I was meant to be winning the Schwa Pride Championship at their big show, the Ascension show, against Delcano. And yeah, some backstage stuff happened with when I was training some guys with a guy who wouldn't leave the ring um, when I wanted to start the training session.
yeah.
Anyway, short came to it. He complained, and yeah, I got the chance of winning the belt ripped from me. So um, I had to lose that match instead, which was fine. Like that didn't bother me too much, but it was just like we built that. Delcado and I built that storyline for close to like 6 months,
Shit.
um, and then yeah, just just all gone because somebody decided that they weren't happy.
But like when you told him to get out of the ring, was there like a physical altercation that happened, or was it just like an exchange of
It's just
words?
words, just words. I'm never physical with anyone.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just words. It was heated words of like him not wanting to listen, um, and me being the trainer at the time telling him pretty much, get the fuck out. Um, so yeah, it was
But that's the thing. There's got to be a line of respect from student to teacher. You know what I mean? Like,
that guy. Again, my personal opinion wasn't there for anyone but himself. So
yeah,
it's just
man.
that's what that person was like.
Yeah. Well, probably good riddance. Hopefully, he's not still in the business.
Oh,
But
look, a talented,
yeah,
very talented person. Um, you know, and could go very far. But I think just again young
yeah.
and it just is what it is. Like
Yeah, but as you said, like young and immature, sometimes like people just, you know what I mean? Like that 18, 19-year-old cockiness or early 20s, thinking that they can really sort of rule the world and they know everything, you
yep,
know, isn't always the case.
yeah. It's hard. It's a hard thing to learn, and you can guide someone as much as you want, but they have to sort of learn that themselves, and they have to sort of unfortunately make some mistakes to go, oh, that's how I was acting, or you know. it's nice to be able to guide those people through that, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that you got that missed opportunity though. Like, but that was everything okay after that though?
Yeah, not a problem. Like, I get it doesn't sour my view of anything that happened in that. I love that place. It was just like, 6 months of this thing, and then it wasn't even about the belt at that point. It was about the story, and it just killed the story. And I was like, oh no, like that's what's gonna happen. Hey, buddy, welcome
That's
in.
crazy. So lowriders were saying, "Hey, what's up, Piers in York?" Yeah, man. Like, it's at least good that you could take that in your stride and just go, like, all right, learn from that one and sort of move on and sort of, take it on the chin, so to speak.
I wouldn't have back 4 years before. I would have cracked the absolute tanty, and that's the difference between, being way more mature now. Like, I was like, okay, that's the way things are going to be. It can't be changed now. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and complain about it to try to get it reversed when it's just like, you've obviously made up your mind for whatever reason. You made up your mind, and that's the way it's going to go. And we carried on. Like it has to be done.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to take your medicine, and there.
And
you go.
I learned how to talk to people better, because don't do that.
Don't tell people to fuck off.
Don't tell people to get the fuck out the ring. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, there you go, man. But like, I just think, like, if you would go back to wrestling like 20 years ago, or even like 30 years ago in the 90s, and like I'm sure trainers said and did much worse,
And you know what? I'm glad that's no longer the case. Like, a lot of people. Oh no, I can't say a lot of people. Some people I've spoken to really miss the old time. I'm the opposite. I'm really glad that we're in this sort of progressive, inclusive push forward of, everyone be nice to each other, everybody include each other. It's the way that humans should interact with other humans. Like, it shouldn't be this just wrestling bubbles allowed to be mean to each other.
But that's the thing, you can push people without being like mean. Like, I've got a background in boxing and MMA and stuff like that. And I've had some trainers which are just like, get the fuck up and move your fucking ass, you fucking idiot, you fat and like, you know what I mean? Like, I would like that sort of training to me was just always a turn off, because it's like, dude, I'm fucking, I can't go any harder than I can't go any harder. Like, I can remember one place I trained, like I literally got injured where like for 3 months afterwards I couldn't straighten my arm because someone got excited like putting an arm bar on me, and like I'm saying, like, I think it's broken. He's like, no, you're fine, just keep going. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, that sort of mentality, that's what probably deters a lot of people, and a lot of people that sort of go, I'm doing this because I want to have fun.
We've got to look after each other, especially in wrestling or any sort of contact sport, especially when you're training. Like, our lives are in each other's hands. If we're not, due diligent and careful and know what we're doing, we can really hurt someone. So, yeah, it's super important to at least be able to communicate with someone and not be yelled at for doing so.
Like, yeah, I mean, 100%. It's like, and again, like, everyone's adults. Like, obviously, there's a few younger than some of the other ones, but like, at the end of the day, it's just, be respectful to do it. Push people as hard as you can, but you can do it in a positive way.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, it definitely, without being negative or tearing someone down. You can build people up, and that's the whole idea, right? When you're trying to push someone, you're trying to get them to go past whatever their mental block is or their physical block is. And positive reinforcement is always better, and will pay off in the long run than negative reinforcement, where people don't want to come back and they don't like you, and you're tearing people down for no reason.
Oh, 100%. But with Deathmatch Down Under, how did you like start working for them? Like, how did that opportunity come about? Because because actually, you know what? I know the story because Joel told me when I first had him on, but I was gonna ask you about it as well, because like, Joel put you over big and was like, man,
oh no,
pretty much like save the show kind of shit.
Oh, for their first show.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that a little bit as well, I guess then. Um, so I moved to Melbourne, from Perth, and I finished up my final match with Schwa against Jared Slate, who, in my opinion, one of the most underrated workers in Australia. Um, Finished up my stint with them, moved to Melbourne. We got into like immediate lockdown, right? Like basically, as soon as we got there, it was like, hey guys, COVID's a thing, lockdown. Um, so I was in a really tough spot because I was just basically coming off like what was my best years in wrestling, where I was like performing at in my opinion, at a decent sort of level where we're pulling out some really nice matches. Um, so then we got put into lockdown, and I got all like real sad boy about it. And yeah, for that year, I was like toying up and down whether I was going to retire or not.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, am I going to come back to wrestling? Am I done? Like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. My body is starting to like really hate me. Because I used to be my moniker used to be the heavy cruiserweight in Perth, because I used to do all the cruiserweight style stuff, like the flips and the runners and the jumping off, and I used to do all that at my size, at 6'3" and 200 odd, pounds, or 260 pounds. So coming off that, I was like, my body hates me. And I don't know if I can do this anymore, especially with lockdown. Like, I didn't know if I was ever going to get out, sort of deal. I didn't know if I was going to get back to training. I didn't know if, because I was originally meant to go to MCW. So Davis Storm from EPW was like one of my last sort of mentors in Perth.
Yeah.
And he was going to put in a good word for me at MCW, and I think he did. And I was going to go there, and then sort of lockdown was all going on, and I just kind of got real sad boy about it. So I decided that I was just going to retire, that I was done, and that, yeah, I didn't make it, but I did some cool stuff in Perth, and I can hang my hat, like my head high, and I can hang my hat on that, and it'll be okay. And then I caught up with an old friend in Melbourne who I used to live with in Adelaide, and they were like, "Hey man, like, do you want to come down to training? Like, I'm doing this training down at APW." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know, man. Like, I think I'm done. Like, I'm done." And then he was like, "Look, I can get you booked. You can be on a show, rah rah." And I was like, "All right, I'll do one. I'll see how I go. Right, I'll do one." So I did an APW breakout show, and I had a match against John Sampson.
Yeah.
And big sort of like a beefy dude like me, and I just come out of sort of like a year of lockdown. Thank God you didn't retire, big man. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. So yeah, I come out of lockdown, I was like so unfit and just not looking great. Fit back into my old like one piece budgie sort of smuggler deal, and we had the match, and I felt like it was like, okay, it was okay. It wasn't the best thing in the world. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was okay. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll see what's out there. Obviously Joel saw that match, because I'm driving back home a week or two later, back from the shops, and I get a message, and he's like, "Are you retired or not? Like, if you're not, like, I've got this thing I would like you to be part of." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I always want to work with you. This is always something that I've wanted to do." Joel and I have never, I think we've wrestled in the same ring once, but we never really wrestled.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I want to be part of this thing. He's like, it's deathmatch down under, blah, blah, blah. Gave me some details, and I was like, look, I'm keen. And he's like, I like what you did. I saw what you did. I've just got to show it to some of the other guys and see if they would be interested. So obviously he showed it to the other guys, and he came back to me, and he's like, all right, you've got a tryout sort of deal, like a tryout match. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, but we're doing a show because I'm friends with Michael Weaver as well. Michael Weaver was booked on their first show, and he was like, "Come down, have a look what it's all about." I was like, "Cool." I'll take Weaver down. Like, I'll pick him up for the airport. I'll take him down, and I'll go suss it out. And then, so I was down there, and everything was getting put together for the first show. The venue looks amazing. The lighting's coming together. And they still hadn't got some stuff sorted out, like some of the chairs and all that sort of stuff, because lighting was going up around it.
Yeah.
And like all the wrestlers are working out their stuff, and the other staff members are doing other things. And I was like, oh no, we're in trouble here. Like, we're not going to have chairs out before doors open. They open in like an hour. Like, we're not going to have chairs out. So, jumped on the chairs, grabbed a few people, got the chairs all set up. And then we didn't have someone to sort of like to stamp people in.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not? Like, I'll stamp people in, and then I can go watch the show. So yeah, that's all that was. Like, I think Joel oversells it a little bit when he's like, he saved us, but I just I saw a situation and I was like, this is the promotion's first show. It looks amazing. They've got some amazing talent. I love what they stand for. I want this to go well. My friend Joel, as well as friends that I've made now, Jay and Callan, like, I wanted this to go well. So yeah, I just jumped into action. I don't think it as amazing as Joel puts it.
But still, like, it is. It's like seeing that and really showing the worth and value that you then bring to that promotion with that knowledge, like going, oh, hold on a second, this could be potentially a bad situation, and making sure that it's smoothed out, like that's sort of jumping in and really showing your worth, I believe.
I just didn't want. There's nothing worse than having fans line up for your first show and then having nowhere for them to sit. I was just like, I just wanted it to go well. And the show went off beautifully.
It was a brilliant show.
It hooked me immediately. And I saw some really great matches on there. And I have always been a wrestler, right? I've never gone to myself and said, I want to do death matches. I've never gone and said I want to do anything hardcore. It's never really been my thing. Weaver and I had a couple of matches in Adelaide where we did some tacks and went through tables and stuff, but like basically low level.
That was the extent of it. Yeah.
Low level stuff, right? Like hardcore matches.
Yeah.
And I think I bladed once or twice at that point. Like I bladed once with in a match, like a Sunday match with a guy called Triton. And then I bladed again in ACW in Adelaide. And I've just never really been a fan of doing it. Like it's not really my thing.
I mean, it wouldn't be the most pleasant of things to do to yourself either. Like,
yeah, no, it's a razor. Like you don't want to be, you don't want to do that. Well, you can do that so wrong, right? You can do that so wrong. So that's never really been my shtick, but I was hooked. I watched that show and I was hooked. I had to, like, I personally took it upon myself to find Joel after the show and go, I think I want to do that. Like, I think I want to do glass, because it was the Callan and Rivers match.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I want to do tubes. I don't know why, but I think I want to do that. I think I want to try death matches.
But what appealed to you about the glass and the tubes? Like, what made you go, hell yeah, like that's the shit what I want to do?
I don't even know. Honestly, it was just a spectacle. It was like, it was good wrestling, good storytelling, and it was crazy as fuck. Like, and I was into it. I was just.
But that's the thing, how death matches can be. Like, I believe, and me and Joel have had this conversation as well. There's good and bad in any sort of form of wrestling. Like, bad comedy wrestling fucking sucks. Good comedy wrestling can be amazing. Bad deathmatch wrestling can just look absolutely like a bunch of people walking around carving themselves up. It can look not very good at all. But when
Yeah.
it can be told in a good story, and it's like, you know, when I was younger and I watched deathmatch wrestling, I'd be like, yeah, like fucking the craziness and shit. But as I got older and sort of had a better understanding about what goes into wrestling, I'd sit there and go, okay, I like it when it's makes sense. Like there's a story to it, like there's a reason why, or the match itself doesn't necessarily go straight into like bashing each other with shit, and it tells that really good story. And that's where it, you know, I think now with deathmatch wrestling is on that level where you're seeing really good performers be able to take it to an entire another level.
Well, you've got Game Changer wrestling over in the States. You've got Deathmatch down under here. You've got a couple of other amazing promotions doing this really good stuff. And yeah, after that, I was hooked, and I was like, I was resigned to go. I want to do like one glass match, or I want to do one or two death matches, and I'll be a heavyweight wrestler. Like, because obviously, deathmatch has different divisions.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I'll be a heavyweight wrestler that does glass maybe 5 times a year. Like, and um, and that was always going to be my plan, or like maybe I'll be in the tag division or whatever. And then I think it was Ballarat that I was like, because I sat with myself after the last death match we did. We did Lego and stuff,
Yeah.
Lego and with Weaver and yeah, ICW No Hell Barred,
Yeah,
amazing.
man. Danny
So
Demento, man.
yeah, I was sitting there with myself and going, I don't mind this. Like I'm enjoying it. Where's my limit? And then I got to Ballarat, and I was originally scheduled to do a dog collar death match. And then Callum's like, we're also going to do skewers. And I was like,
that looks nasty as fuck.
I was like, okay. And I kind of sold myself on being a deathmatch guy. Then I was like, all right, well, if we're doing this, like if you're going to shove skewers in my head, and in my back, and we're going to have a dog collar death match, like, and we're bleeding, and I don't have to blade. Like, you're just going to stick skewers in my head, and it's going to bleed. I might as well go both feet in. Like, I might as well I might as well do this. And that was sort of the switch. And then the Ballarat show went off. It was amazing. Crowd was crazy. We did the match. The match went well. And I was like, hell yeah, this is my thing now. This is what I do.
But like, how did it go? Like when you go back and you like, you know, telling your missus, yeah, like, you know how I do this pro wrestling thing. I'm going to step it up now, and I'm going to go through planes of glass and have this other, you know, dude smash like skewers in my forehead. Was there ever like a point where like, hang on, it's time to slow your roll there, or?
I probably have the coolest sort of person in my life. They're so supportive that they were just like, cool. Like, the only thing they said was like, make sure you're safe and make sure you're looked after when it comes to, the other side of things like payment or, medical care or any of that. Just make sure that you're looked after. But they were super supportive. They were just like, straight on, like, hell yeah, that sounds great. And then when I mentioned that because it was even a bit of a shock to me when I got announced for Dream. And not like I didn't know, but like that wasn't the original plan from what I understand. Because of the lockdowns in Sydney and stuff, things had to be moved around. So I got a message and it was like, hey, is this something that you'd be interested in doing? And I was like, fuck yeah, like I am in. So when that got announced, and I was telling my family about it and everything, it was just like, this is real now. Like this is happening. And my mom, my mom hates the fact that I'm doing it.
Of course, like every mother would.
But yeah, no, everyone else is like super, super supportive, and even my mom's super supportive. But she's just like, look after yourself. So
yeah, I mean, the extra elements come into it, but when you're a good worker and you can work around that sort of stuff, there's ways of obviously keeping yourself safe well, as safe as you possibly can in that environment. But the match you've got coming up at Dream, who's it against, and what's the stipulation for that?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a big step for me. That match, I'm hoping, really makes a statement of what I'm about and what I'm willing to do. Because I've, in the first sort of like 5 years, 6 years of my wrestling, I was doing it because I love wrestling, right? Like all wrestlers start, we just love wrestling.
Yeah.
And I was like always thinking that like traveling is a bit of a pipe dream, and that I'm probably not that good, and I'll probably never really make it anywhere. And then I've had a couple of fights in deathmatch, and even stuff in Perth, I'll start to believe that maybe I can make a thing of this, and then getting to deathmatch, I'm like, I think now's the time to make the statement. Like I think now's the time to really push for something bigger, because I'm around some of the most talented people in the world, and that can only make me better. And honestly, without sounding too self-deprecating, because I don't want to be like, woe is me, but I genuinely believe that I'm one of the lower end workers in this tournament. Like when it comes to, you look at who's in this tournament, and I truly believe that I'm on that lower end. So if I can elevate myself during this tournament, whether it be 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, heck, win the whole damn thing, that'd be pretty sick. But if I can just elevate myself, I think I'm on the right path to sort of making something for myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's deathmatch wrestling, I think now is probably at the most popular it's ever been. Like you look at just recently with Nick Gage being on AEW television, where 5-10 years ago that would have no one would have believed that was ever going to happen, that he was going to go through a pane of glass on TNT.
Right?
That's the level of craziness. But it also just goes to show that the level of, because if it was trash wrestling, it would not be that attracted to people, wouldn't be attracted to it. But when there's good performers out there, and even let's look at Australia alone, the Callan Butchers, the Damian Rivers, Joel as well. He's absolutely, probably one of the higher up ends, and seeing other wrestlers coming in and stepping into that element and trying to test their waters into it, like yourself and, Charlie Evans even coming in doing death matches, and Charlie Rose, and, there's so many people that are going into it that are phenomenal wrestlers, and they're putting on amazing matches.
Atlas.
Dude, I became a fan. of that dude. Just for that match, I sat there, and it was like they were saying this is his first death match, and I was watching that, and I was just like, what? That was one of the best matches I've ever, one of the best death matches I'd ever seen.
That is one of the most amazing sort of performances that I've seen from someone who's never touched anything like that. And that blew me away. That gave me hope. I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. I was like, this guy, I don't know how long he's been wrestling. I don't know a whole lot about him, but that was such a star performance. And obviously being in the ring with probably the
Joel
best,
Bateman,
the best deathmatch worker I've personally ever seen. And one of sort of the best workers that I've been around for a long time. That was beautiful, right?
100% agree. I remember watching that match and just being dude, you know what I mean? Because when he came out and the whole gimmick and stuff like this, I was just like, oh, Bateman's gonna kill him. This is gonna be a slaughter. That. Yeah. That's exactly the way I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was just gonna be, And then when the match went on, I was just like, oh wow, this guy is just taking it and giving it, and it was like a great back and forth match. It told a great story.
And that's the thing that especially Bateman is brilliant at, is he'll do some crazy shit and he'll break glass tubes over your head, but the storytelling is just next level. And
Oh,
and that's what I want. That's what I'm really aiming to do in death matches. Is I don't want to just go out there and be the guy that just smashes something over someone's head because it's cool. Like
mm,
I really want investment in what we're doing, and I really want to tell a really engaging story, um, as well as smash some things over some people's heads, because
yeah.
that's fun too. But like it's and I said on Twitter that when Bateman got announced, which was always going to happen, right? Of course it was.
Yeah.
But I said like he would be my pick to win it if I wasn't involved, right? Obviously, I'm backing myself because you have to.
Of course. Of course.
But if I wasn't in this tournament, that guy's my pick. How can it
Yeah.
not be? He's the king. He's the king of death matches, man. It's a joy and a pleasure to watch, and it's something else when he steps in that ring. And we've got Vixen and Mad Dog in there as well, who are just
Mm.
superstars of
Veterans.
that game. Yeah,
Mm.
and then you've got the Atlas is new. You got Callan who's proving himself. Like it's stacked. It really is. It's kind of surreal to put myself in that conversation.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm really excited. I hope, I'm praying that lockdown stays away for that.
Dude, that, you and me both, man. Like I'm really, really looking forward to seeing. Like I said, the Deathmatch Down Under shows I've always enjoyed watching and being able to watch multiple times. Because the shows are just great quality, very well done, produced wise, and really good quality wrestling as well.
Yeah, it's that whole company's stacked full of talent, and there's more people coming. Like there's more people coming in. Like I'm
Oh,
fairly sure
100%.
at Peer Pressure there's a tag match that's got a couple of new guys that I haven't seen before personally, and it's also got Lucille and Bobby,
Yeah,
who
they're
are
from Brisbane.
yeah, from Brisbane, from Queensland. So there's there's talent from other states,
Mm.
and they're all coming to deathmatch, and it's really exciting to see. So I'm hoping everyone can just smash it.
Yeah, man. Like I think it's really one of those, bringing all these different workers in, you putting on some amazing matches like that triple threat tag match. To me, I'm really excited to check that out because I think you got six amazing, performers that are going to get in there and tear the house down. And even looking at some of the other performers that are involved, like the Outback New Jack, the Outback New Jack.
Right?
I like what I like. I've got like friends of mine, like I said, like Lowrider who's in here, and his brother Boogaloo, and they popped for that sort of shit. They're like,
It's
honestly, because
great.
they're from New York, man, and they're like,
Yeah.
hold on a second, that like there's a guy in Australia called the Outback New Jack, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, that's fucking dope as fuck. Yeah.
It's and this is the thing, like from top to bottom, whether you're in the heavyweight division, you're in the tag division, you're in the deathmatch division, like it's stacked, and it's crazy to be part of, and it's so cool to be part of. Um, and it's just I'm hoping it just keeps growing because it's amazing. Like I love it. I love it. Um, and everything that the company stands for is everything that I think everyone else should stand for naturally anyway. So
Yeah, it's
it's
quite
perfect.
simple, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there you go. He just said greatest gimmick name ever.
Oh, it is pretty good. It's pretty good.
It is, it is. But guys, it is time for the game of the evening. It is 60 seconds with Pierce. We've told York how this is going to go down. He knows the drill, what it's going to be. I'm going to fire off a bunch of questions. York's got 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. Whenever you're ready, big man, you tell me and we can get this ready to go.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Aussie rules or NFL?
Aussie rules.
How do you take your coffee?
I don't.
Favorite wrestling referee?
Jay?
Which politician would you sit down and share a beer with?
Thomas Jefferson.
What is the weirdest thing you have ever eaten?
Ooh, Spider?
Which song do you know all the lyrics to?
Anything from Paramore.
Start singing anything from. No, I'm kidding.
No,
if you could,
You don't want that. People will turn off immediately. You don't want that.
if you could only wear one color to the ring for the rest of your career, what color is it?
Black.
Would you rather $10 million or you get to live for twice as long?
$10 million.
Cadbury or Nestle?
Cadbury.
Would you rather be 4'5" or 7'7"?
7'7".
What was the name of your first car?
I didn't have a name for it.
In 5 minutes, you were being shipped to outer space. What two personal belongings, excluding humans, do you take with you?
Definitely not the Richie Taylor. I would probably take my Nintendo Switch and something to charge it with.
You know what? That is the second time someone's had a practical answer. I had Lucille Ball on Tuesday night, and she said the exact same thing: a Twitch and a charger.
Best.
You can't
Same
get any
wavelength.
better. Exactly. But man, thank you so much for coming on. It's absolutely been a pleasure. I feel like we could sit here and go another hour quite easily. But man, where can everyone support you, find you on social media, get some merch?
So all my socials on Twitter or Instagram are deathmatch_York. And you can also find me on Twitch at Deathmatch York without the underscore. Merch is coming. Stay tuned for merch. Merch will be the first time I'll sell that will be at Deathmatch Down Under. And then I'll probably chuck it on Wrestler merch or something like that. So that's coming.
There you go, guys. Look, just special shout out to our sponsors, the Wrestling Universe, the one-stop shop for all your pro wrestling needs. Head over to thewrestlinguniverse.com and check out what they've got. Or if you're in Queens, New York, go in there and check out some of their amazing signings every single week. They've got some of the biggest names in professional wrestling that are going to be coming in there for signing. So go buy some shit, get it signed, and get a certificate of authenticity for it as well. Or if you're like me and like York here, and you don't live in Queens, New York, and you live internationally, don't fret, don't sweat, because they'll ship straight to your door, baby. But guys, also while you're there on the internet checking stuff out, make sure to check out healthvape.com. Use promo code MWA pod to get a 10% off your final purchase there, doing healthy vaping alternatives with no nicotine, no addictive chemicals, and vitamin infused. But also, guys, if you're an athlete, someone you know is an athlete, you like to go to the gym, you like to work out, or your loved ones do, head out and check out sleeves.com. They got you covered for all of your active wear. So, guys, until then, guys, I'm Piers. This is York. We're going to be signing out. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And tune in tomorrow night. I'm going to be going live with Misspent Youth, Aisha and Murdoch. So make sure you tune into that 9 p.m. AEST time. Till then, guys, peace.